but I have people who can. John Spencer, Executive Director of the Urban Warfare Institute, and Moshe Lavi, okay, the brother-in-law of 47-year-old hostage Omri Miran. And he was taken from one of the kibbutzim on October 7th. Remember, the people in those places were the most pro-better relations. The people who lived that close to the border, especially on the kibbutzim, they were the most pro-Palestinian people you would find in Israel. That's the irony of them being attacked. Both of you, thank you. Moshe, I start with you. How are you controlling head and heart about what this means or could mean for your family?
Thank you for having me, Chris. I try to be the rational actor in my family and be grounded as much as possible. We've been in this situation several times in the past 2 years where a deal was announced imminently, and yet nothing has happened eventually. I do see a lot of buts, and I saw some of the stipulations Hamas put forth. But as you said, it's a positive progress. And President Trump is clear that there is a path here for a resolution to the conflict and the release of all the hostages, including Omri, who will return alive, to my sister Lishai and my 2 nieces, Roni and Alma.
God willing. So, John, is there cause for optimism here that has not existed before?
Well, first, Chris, congratulations on the show. Of course, I'm a big fan and all your hard work. Absolutely, this is new. Hamas has never said that they would release. There are buts even in their statement, even in that paragraph. But I think there's absolutely optimism. I wouldn't say peace. I would say peace for these hostages that shouldn't have been taken and their families. Absolutely, that peace will come. But there are 19 other points in this peace plan that would lead to peace in just that region that have to be addressed. And there are some buts in the statement. But absolutely, Hamas has never been willing to say we will release all the hostages. And we still have to wait. And I think this is a little bit of psychological warfare to say, okay, are they seriously saying that they agree to that point in the plan, that they will release for 2,000 basically Palestinian life-death sentence people and those taken after October 7th? If that's amazing. And like you said, President Trump and everybody else should be very optimistic, hopeful, and even happy about that.
Here are the two hardest questions. First one is for you, John, and Moshe, then I'm going to ask a question that I think is going to be hard for you to answer as honestly as you may want to, but it's a very important question. John, one is strategy. One is a social question. So the strategy question is, these are terrorists who do not want to go anywhere if that means giving up power. So they're not going to just say yes because it's the right thing. What is the leverage involved? What is the give that would make these people give up the only thing that matters to them, which is power over their own people?
I think that for the first time, this plan addressed that, right? So war is a contest of will, and you're right. These are irreconcilable individuals. And that's why the number one point in President Trump's plan is that the Gaza Strip must be de-radicalized and demilitarized. And you're right. It's going to be to say that these people would just give that up, but they've been offered exile. I think the difference here in the way it is reasonable to think that it is possible is because unlike any other plan, you had all of these Arab and Muslim majority countries sign up and be saying, absolutely, that must happen for there to be peace. You know, even this technocratic thing that the Hamas put into this yes that it did, that they're willing to give up power of governance, but they want the basically infer they want the Hezbollah model where they maintain an army and weapons and everything. It isn't peace, and that's not what the agreement says. It's not what the Qataris, Egyptians, UAE, Turkey agreed to.
Well, because we saw what happened with Hezbollah. And, you know, by the way, they're supposed to be disarming also. And we know that that process is not going the way it was anticipated. We just don't talk about it because we can't focus on two things at once, even in one country on two different borders that's the size of New Jersey. Moshe, here's the hard question for you. And I will respect this criticism that I keep hearing, is that as a citizen, I'm asking you about this. There is no chance that Israel will not continue to go after the people that they believe were responsible for the planning and execution of October 7th, even if there is a peace deal. It will not end for them. They have to get as many as they can. The people will demand it, no matter what is signed. Do you believe that?
I want to say that as a student of history and war studies and political science in the past, I recognize that war is inevitable, and this is not going to conclude the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. This is merely one phase within a larger conflict that will take decades, if not centuries more, to resolve. We saw how many centuries it took Europe to become a relatively stable place, only in the later stages of the 20th century. So we will continue to engage against our enemies. We have no other choice. And I served for 6 years, and I understand that we have no other choice. At the same time, compromises have to be made at times in the short term to achieve those small victories. One of that victory include the Israeli society cohesion. It's currently suffering from a lack of trust between the public and the government as a result of the October 7th atrocity. And lack of trust because we did not prioritize at times the hostages over other objectives. I understand how complex it is for Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government to maneuver all the international pressure, to maneuver the other war goals. But we have to take advantage of the fact there is an opening now, guarantees from President Trump, his amazing administration, and the international coalition he built. And those guarantees will allow us to continue prepare for the threats ahead and bring home all the hostages, including Omri. This is not the end of the conflict, but hopefully we can lay foundations for a better future for both Israelis and Palestinians.
Hey, John, you should get this guy to come speak at the college. That was one of the most eloquent explanations of the tenuous nature of this dynamic that I've heard since we took this latest step. Thank you for that context, Moshe. I hope that your family gets something good out of this. Okay, I don't want to jinx it, but I hope for that. John, thank you for the perspective as always. Have a good weekend, brother.